We're live again. I feel like I'm working hard today. Am I just imagining things? This is Lightning Talks, and we do not have enough contestants yet for Lightning Talks. I have just now posted to the Hope announcements screen, the matrix chat. So if you're a registered attendee, only for ticketed folks, you're welcome to join Lightning Talks. Email me. I put my email in that address. I'll try to track it while we're sitting here, and I will send you the link to this teleconference, and you can come in and get in on the Lightning Talks. We have 2 Lightning Talks that have showed up so far in the room. Hopefully we'll have a few more. We have time for maybe even certainly half a dozen, maybe a few more than that. The idea of Lightning Talks is that for whatever reason, not everyone is on the Hope schedule. Some people signed up a little late, didn't know about the conference. Other people have late breaking news. And there's even a few folks that submitted an idea but weren't selected for the conference, and they want to share that idea here. So Lightning Talks is totally open, can be really on any topic. And what we try to do, since it's a Lightning Talk, is we keep it to just 5 minutes or so. I don't have a big bell, but I have a powerful button here on my control panel if necessary, but we keep it to around 5 minutes and only around 5 slides. So we try to be very, very rapid in cycling through these. So that's the process. It's not a contest, it's brief presentations. And I'm going to go in the order that people arrived in the room. And RT is first. This is our big winner for those of you that were tuned in to Hackers Got Talent, but he has something new to share. So what I'll do is I'll ask Side Pocket, you can go ahead and mute, and RT, you can go ahead and enable your audio and video, share your screen, and go ahead and take your 5 minutes. And anybody else that wants to be part of it, find the Hope announcements link, and you can message me, and I will invite you to this forum. So that's me, and go ahead and take it away, RT. Thank you.
Hello, thank you. Well, thank you for the opportunity. First of all, I want to say that I'm very grateful that this is my first Hope, and well, let's bring it on. My talk is titled "Divide and Conquer." My email is there if you have any inquiry there later. Well, I first want to start with a quote that I like from one of my favorite books that's called Foundation by Isaac Asimov, in which one of the main themes is decentralization. It's a core part of the society of the rebuilding of society that they're trying to achieve there. The idea is that, well, some of you may have read it, that two 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 entities have been placed
I'm wondering what's
at
going on. It's because I can't hear the channel now. I don't know why. I hope that's not going to interfere with what's going on. So let's cross your fingers here.
at the opposite ends of the galaxy, and they are tasked with rebuilding the society. My point is that we are now extremely dependent on big companies, like, for example, I'm showing there Amazon, Google, and Facebook, which control our daily lives and um all the implications they have digitally. And well, we have a choice to not use them. We have free alternatives, but the point is that they have become so deeply entrenched in our daily lives that, for example, the other day I wanted to play a game with my girlfriend, and I couldn't because I had to use one of Google's CAPTCHA, and some other times we want to see a blog from one person on the internet, but they have Facebook cookies and stuff like that. They have so much control right now in our daily lives that it's become very difficult for us to stray away from them. And well, the idea is that, well, this is not our fault. As I said, we have most of the times no choice of escaping. They have they can control what we think because, well, they can choose the first results we see when we search for something on Google, or the things that appear in our timeline on Twitter. And that's why I've been working on a project called Future. It's a search engine that's powered by a deep learning algorithms that I've been training on my house. It is self-hosted. Also in my house, I have the an old computer running the server in the basement. And well, the idea is to make an open source search engine, and I'm looking right now for ways in which I can make shards of the information that is being crawled, so that uh, different devices can act like a hive that powers the search engine. You can find the GitHub repo there, and there is also the link to the web page. Well, thank you very much.
Perfect. Good. Thanks for leading off the lightning talk. And for those of you that don't know, this is the big winner of Hackers Got Talent, the first edition from last Saturday night. So we're going to do Hackers Got Talent again next Saturday. We're planning on doing lightning talks again as well in a couple of days. So stay tuned. All right. Well, thank you very much. You don't need to stay in the conference anymore, I don't think, but the chat room is open. So people that have any comments, input, you can go to the live stream sessions, Q&A chat room in Matrix and have discussion with the speaker.
Okay,
Right.
thank you very much.
Thanks again. And up next is SidePocket. Are you ready? Go ahead and unmute your video, unmute your audio, SidePocket, and you can go ahead and share. We're not seeing you yet, SidePocket, or hearing you.
Can you all hear me in here?
We heard you now. Thank you. Don't see you,
Can
but
you
we
all
do
hear
hear
me in
you.
here? Just want to double check. My mic's working.
Do you hear me?
Just needs a thumbs up here. Let me share screen. Okay, so I'm sharing the screen now. Here we go. What? Okay, so if you guys can see this, hopefully. Hello, everyone. This is, oh, why is nothing showing up right now? It says the screen sharing. Hang on. I'm trying to get to, trying to see if everyone can see my browser here. Why isn't not? I apologize. Might have to go to another lightning talk for a moment because I'm trying to.
It was
share.
it was coming and going. We did see it.
Okay, now it should work. All right, there we go. So sorry about that. We're going to make this as quick as possible. Hi, this is SidePocket. I'm one of the co-founders of DEF CON 201. We're a group that meets every third Friday of the month. We've been live streaming and really enjoying Hope. And we also want to shout out that if you want to have Hope all in one place, on our blog, we have a guide that we've wrote that basically compiles all the Hope news together in one sitting. Now, it doesn't have all the talks and everything. We did post some highlights, but we just want to let you know that we're going to have those guides plus guides to all the hacker stuff going on all month here. So my talk is simply about congratulations. Today is National New Jersey's Day. Woohoo! And if my camera's working, we also have an issue of Weird NJ here. But basically to celebrate, and you're going to see partially my notes, I wanted to celebrate National New Jersey Day by basically blabbing in 5 minutes about all the awesome heck stuff that was actually made in New Jersey. So we have to even go way back because Bell Labs is coming up. And as much as you might love or hate the guy, one of the OG invention areas is Thomas Edison's various R&D workshops. They were one of the first R&D places to be invented. They were made in Menlo Park, which currently has a memorial stand there. And 400 of most notorious inventions here, including recording sound and working with his colleagues to make the first ever incandescent light bulbs. So already at the start, New Jersey just has a very big vibe of invention and drive for innovating and corporate selling out and stuff like that. Then if we can jump ahead a bit here, which this is nuts and kind of less known, we jump over to the Institute of Advanced Reference in New Jersey, where John von Neumann basically in 1945 gathered a bunch of engineers trying to make basically the first use of a random access storage matrix computer. Basically, on this campus, he wanted to make Alan Turing's idea of a machine to become into reality, where it can actually do computational powers as well as access visual memories that can be restored and stored again, unlike the single-use computations that was most commonly seen in the advanced Bombay machines that Turing made to help crack the Enigma machines, which there's a Hope Talk that's going to deal all about Enigma machines. I can't wait to check that out. If you want to know more about how basically, as written here, he worked out the bounds of the industry, breaking rules of academia and relying largely for the U.S. government support a bunch of engineers in their 20s and 30s, and they built the computer less than 1 million in under 5 years. You can read this amazing book called The Turing's Cathedral by George Dyson. It's one of my personal favorite books. It details all of that. You can check it out. Now we're going to get to the more modern, juicy stuff. I don't know if anyone recognizes this campus. This is the original New Jersey Bell Labs campus. Bell Labs started off in New York, if I remember correctly, in the early 20s, but in around 1940, I want to say 1945, they were sick and tired of the property values and how congested New York is, and they hauled their butts over to New Jersey, and they opened up multiple divisions in New Jersey, from Holmdel to Cranford to Deal State, Freehold, Linecroft, Long Branch, Middletown, Neptune, Princeton, Piscataway, Red Bank, Chester, and Winnipeg. Woo! Crawford Hill are the only one that remains, and I believe Murray Hill is the only place where Bell Labs, as part museum, part semi-research center, still exists. Bell Labs invented a lot of things during their stay in New Jersey, including the first they did a lot of first working. So they did the first working transistor, which was made in which was developed from November 1947 to December 1947. Let's see here. Just wanted to remember this. Yes. Solid state physics leader William Shockley saw the potential in this, and they brought it to development. Russell O did the first patent for working solar cell, and then in 1954 they actually developed the first rolling cell. Another thing they did was they teamed up with Canadian telephone companies to create TTAT-1, which is the first ever Atlantic cable line bridge between two nations. And in 1959, Mohammed M. Alida and Dawson Kong invented a new type of oxide semiconductor system that allows for large-scale circuits. And probably for most of the olden youngins that most people know, we also have the invention of the C language and its many modern variants and languages that are inspired by those, such as Python and Ruby and unfortunately Rust. So pretty much if you've used a programming language, and especially if you've used C and you can't stand C, as New Jerseyans would say, you're welcome for that frustration. One of the last two topics I want to talk about, just because they're so a little unknown, is ironically, on September 11th, 1955, the Secret Service actually set up a bulletin board in Bergen County, New Jersey, that was known as, trying to remember where I wrote this here. If I remember correctly, was I think known as like Silent One was the name of the bulletin board, and they particularly set it up to try to get people to talk about cell phone cloning and computer hacking. And sorry, that happened in January 1995. By September 11th, 6 hackers were arrested, including Richard Larkamp, who's known as Chillin, and Ken Watkins, Jeremy Cushing, known as Alphabits, Frank Nalati, known as M-Mind, Al Bramford, known as Cell Phone, and Michael Clarkson of Barcode. All over these 6 from all the United States were under that bus, to the point here where I have an archive where the Wireless Association praises the Secret Service for doing that bust, which shows you that giant companies cracking down on freedom of information is not anything new. This has been going on for a while. Hands up real quick if you've heard of this guy. So I don't know if the audio is going through, but this is Geo Hotz. He is most famous for not only iPhone jailbreaks, but also for the PlayStation 3 hack debacle, and here he is rapping about getting arrested. And what a lot of people don't know about GeoHotes that we brought up at our PAX East topic, and then I'm almost done, is that he actually was born and raised in New Jersey and went through college in New Jersey. Unfortunately, I can't remember, but that was a whole thing there. And finally, in the last piece to celebrate National New Jersey Day, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of Baidu. This is very recent. So Baidu is basically China's Google, besides Tencent. They started out like Google as a search engine. They've grown, they have their own map systems and various technologies. They basically make up of half of China's infrastructure. And like I said, they're the Chinese equivalent of Google, to the point which is why I brought up this page. There have been 2 DEF CON spinoffs in China that they've directly sponsored. But what a lot of people don't know about Baidu is that in 1994, Robert Lee, who is one of he was the CEO, one of the co-founders of the company, actually developed all the backend code for the search engine when he was working at the New Jersey division of Dow Jones. So just to show you how important New Jersey actually is, China wouldn't have the tech infrastructure they would have that they developed in the 90s that they deployed now, especially cracking down on Hong Kong citizens, if it actually wasn't for some code developed in New Jersey. So all of China's backend code is basically developed in New Jersey. Anyhow, that was basically my lightning talk. Again, happy National New Jersey Day. If you're ever confused about Hope, please check out our guide on our blog, and you can find out our blog and other information at us at DEFCON21. Hack the planet and Dirty Jersey represent. Peace out.
Great job. Thank you for that. You went over time, but we don't have a plethora of lightning talks. If you want to get in lightning talks, you can send an email while it's happening to me. Just find it's posted now in the live stream Q&A session, and it's also posted in the general Hope announcements. So if you're in Matrix chat, you can join lightning talks. If you're not, well, you should have gotten in Matrix chat. What can I say? Thanks, SidePocket. Very good. And as I said, it's in the competition, so you can probably depart our virtual meeting room here when you're ready. We have at least 2 more that are queued up. The first one is from Forrest. Why don't you just go ahead and unmute and turn on your video, and you can take it away.
Well, hello. I've been doing most of the audiovisual production for the last couple of days here, and I have a little gotcha that's happening to what we call the defense industry base. These are all the small manufacturers and even to the large manufacturers that are happening between. Hang on here. These are the manufacturers that make, a bolt, a washer, maybe some custom machining for a repair part for a helicopter, or even cut the grass for a military base. And there's a new regulation that's coming out, and it's called CMMC. It's a cyber maturity model. That's actually a misnomer. It's not true. It's more of a cybersecurity certification to a certain level before you can do work for the DoD, and that's not just it is for the entire DoD. So it's kind of like PCI and HIPAA, where you have to have like a minimum cybersecurity level to interact with those types of entities. But instead, it's for the DoD and it's enforced. What they're going to have you do is they'll have a certified auditor come audit you, and then you get your score, and it's a score between 1 through 5. Minimum is 1, maximum is 5. Most people are going to sit around 3. And 3 is where they're supposed to be right now, but it's a self-assessment, and you just have to attest that you're compliant with this, which isn't very good because nobody's been doing it, and most of the people have been lying about it. And a few people have gone to jail because they've lied about it and then got breached. There's a missile defense contractor that happened to. So it's starting to end up like a Ponzi scheme, though. So they have the CMMC accreditation board. The accreditation board requires, if you want to assess companies and audit companies, you have to become a certified practitioner. And then you have to, again, then certify for each individual level that you're able to audit for, 1 through 5. And you have to pay like $5,000 for every level. And then on top of that, based off the current release documentation, they're going to have where somebody says, I need an audit for my company, and then people bid against that. So you're going to end up with like the lowest common denominator with that. So they're going to price everybody out. No one's going to be able to make any money off of this. Besides the accreditation board, because they get a cut of every accreditation that comes in, and this is going to be 300,000 companies that are going to require this certification, and it's pretty extreme. Level 3, which is where everyone wants to be, is kind of for the protection of what we call controlled but unclassified information. It's called CUI or CUI. If you ask the CISO over there, that's what she calls it. And this data is more like PII, but for the government, very similarly to federal contracting information. This is details that would be contained within a federal contract that shouldn't be public, but isn't necessarily like secret. It's more like FOIU documents, for your eyes only type stuff. And it's marked very similarly, and it's marked similarly to secret, but it's kind of handled like that to a certain degree, but then it's not. It's just, whatever they can get their hands on, right? And so it's 110 controls and then some. It's 140, I think. And it requires a lot, right? And generally half the DIB is going to require level 3, and the other half is going to at least require level 1. Level 3 requires, FIPS validated cryptography for everything. Requires multi-factor authentication for everything. It requires, 3 years of firewall logging, and well, somewhat. It's very vague. It's like a one-line requirement. It's really meant. A lot of it's taken from 853, which is another, NIST cybersecurity, framework of sorts, and they're going to enforce this among small businesses where, they might have an Active Directory, right? And that's like half the industry right now that manufactures things for the DoD. So considering this might become a problem, and this is pretty much happening next year. They're going to start rolling out contracts next year, and then after that, it's going to, just snowball from there. And the way that they're kind of setting it up is that they're going to require the certification before you can even bid on the contracts, or even that they'll even accept you. So it's going to be one of the more fundamental changes that's going to happen to cybersecurity over the next 4 years. The next 4 to 10 is that they're going to really require a lot of these small manufacturers and a lot of these small places and research labs to actually look at cybersecurity and be required and certified. And that's never been done before, not on this scale. I mean, we had HIPAA and we had HITRUST and we had PCI, and it was never really enforced very well, especially on the small scale stuff, like 1 or 2 person shops. But even those people will be required to be certified. What's ended up going to be happening is businesses are just going to close, or they're not going to do business with the DoD anymore. They're going to end up with a problem of they can't get their thingamajigger made. So I've already ranted enough. I do this as my day job. I'm a cybersecurity auditor for this type of stuff. So be on the lookout for it. It's called CMMC. You can Google it. There's plenty of stuff floating around about it now. Half of it's misinformation anyway. So, but keep your eye out for it. You may come across your doorstep. All right, I'm done. I've got my rant in.
We had a talk this morning, as you know, from someone that was a whistleblower in DHS, and I wonder if we're going to be seeing whistleblowing about this next fiasco in another couple of years.
Oh, I can see it coming. There's been so much lying that's been happening in the last 4 years that it's really going to put a damper on everybody's day whenever it really starts getting enforced.
Yeah. That's what technologists do.
All right, I'm out.
Appreciate it. Forrest is going back to the back. Well, I guess he never left the dungeon, but he's going back to the virtual dungeon to keep the audio flowing. Lily, you are here, but I don't see your. Oh, now I see your microphone. Lily, speak. Hi. Not hearing you, Lily. Are you hearing me? I heard something.
Hello,
Hey, do you hear me?
can you hear me?
We hear you.
I'm
Do
hearing
you hear
you.
me? Hey, we've achieved success. Applause, thunderous applause, everyone. Thanks. You're up, Lily. Go ahead and share your screen or turn on your camera and hold forth with your great content.
Don't hear you. Wait, okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm getting a lot of delay. Is that meant to be the case?
Lily, we are ready for you. I think you're watching the live stream. We will
Okay, so share my
pause.
screen. Okay, I can hear the live stream primarily. But yeah, I'll share my screen now. Sorry to be not a great on deck. How do I do it though? Share screen, got it. Okay, I don't have anything specifically to share on my screen, but you can look at my screen anyway, I guess. Share. Okay, so my name is Lily, and I am a person who thinks about security and relationships specifically. I have only just kind of the seeds of thought based on what I've gone through in my own life for cognitive behavioral therapy. So in this regard, I think about how to create relationships and connect with people, and the business marketing concept of AIDA, which is attention, interest, desire, and action, as well as how the cognitive behavioral aspects of thoughts, emotions, and behaviors overlap with trust, loyalty, and respect as pro-social, cognitive, emotional, and behavioral connections. And then also how you can go asocial with the aspect of dishonesty, betrayal, and disrespect, or however you want to term it, maybe lack of caring or disregard. So in the rush to just kind of put a lightning talk together last second, I'm just going to kind of free flow and watch the time. I will hear Greg in case there's any, don't keep going, Lily, you know, but I won't see anything most likely. Actually, I can maybe look up, but I'll see my own screen being shared. Okay, anyway, so proceeding on. So I think about relationship building in terms of not just a business, but interpersonally and with oneself even. So whenever there's a need to be met, giving that attention and then like acknowledging it and then having an interest, saying like, well, you know, I actually do care about achieving this, but haven't moved to the point of action or even desire necessarily. So if you've progressed from that interest to desire of like, okay, I really do want to do something, but like, you know, there are times that you can't because like, you know, if you're a parent, your kid is trying to get your attention and they, you know, they're trying to interrupt or something like that. And it's like, well, look, you know, I'm busy at the moment. Can you, you know, please hold on. It's not that I don't want to help. It's just that I'm conflicted. And then actually moving to the progress, to the last stage of action, in which case maybe there's a compromise or some type of, you know, agreement reached in which the need is fulfilled. And so this can help gain more trust and loyalty and respect over time. And I think that it starts from the bottom up. I really do think that cognitive aspects are involved with power and control, and just making sure that, you know, you can make yourself vulnerable to like let your needs be known. And then on the loyalty side, you know, that you've got maybe courage and bravery as opposed to cowardice and fear. You're willing to put the love of others above the love of yourself. And then in terms of behaviors, there's assertiveness for like the sake of composure or protecting someone or something without compromising the opposition. It's like if you have, you know, somebody who is potentially threatening you, for example, just like maintaining calm and being willing to continue caring instead of reacting with anger and intimidation. I see that I've gone about 4 minutes now with the talk thus far. Sorry that my screen is uninteresting, but I appreciate the slight platform, and I will yield my time back to Greg.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us, Lily, and we appreciate that. There were some comments in the chat comparing your blank notepad screen to the background that Forrest had just before then. So that was an interesting counterpoint. I feel like we've gone from the Arctic to the desert or some other juxtaposition. We don't have another person lined up to give a lightning talk, so I'm going to give mine. I was going to prepare this, then I decided, oh, I shouldn't do that because I'm doing all this emceeing and stuff. But what the heck? And for those of you that were watching my Project Gutenberg talk just earlier, you know that I'm sort of a literature guy. And so my lightning talk is, you should read Edward Snowden's Permanent Record. And I'm sharing my screen here to show you the download page just from the Kobo site, but it's easy to find. It's out there. You can get an ebook, you can get a printed book, you can get an audio book, whatever you want. Everyone knows who Edward Snowden is. He was a speaker at Hope a few years ago. He was virtually on the stage from his home in Russia, but shared the stage with Daniel Ellsberg, the very famous whistleblower from the 1970s. It was such a wonderful experience. But Edward Snowden, in this book, he tells his personal story and his motivations. And those I find to be just very, very fascinating. And it's come up a few times in talks that I've been part of here at Hope already. Why do people choose to, basically throw away their career and really, really disrupt their lives in order to share the truth, in order to disclose things that are in the public interest to know, according to, in this case, Ed Snowden, and yet hidden, yet secret. So this is something that I found to be just very inspiring. The book Permanent Record has a lot of the background, who he was, where he came from, how he grew up, has been widely covered. He's someone that was basically of a military family, so he's someone that had a lot of knowledge, a lot of interaction with sort of the military, the government, grew up or spent a lot of time growing up in the Beltway area of Washington. The book is just fascinating. I really recommend it. Anyone that's involved with the Hope conference, I think, would be interested in knowing some of the story behind the story, some of the motivation with Ed. And the thing that I found, two things I think I'll mention. One is I found it really interesting to understand some of his personal thought record. This was not a random act of whistleblowing or a random act of document sharing, not a spurious thing. This was a very thoughtful, deliberate, multi-year process of being concerned and then eventually deciding that he had to go public with those concerns. And in fact, when he went public, he was introspective and careful enough to know about the character assassination that would take place when he went public, and he called it exactly right. And by the way, you should watch Lauren Poinge's film Citizen 4 to learn more about this. The other thing that was really interesting is the tech. Now, he did not disclose further classified information. He did not do further whistleblowing or something like that in the book. You know, I think he probably considers himself to be done with sharing what he needed to share, and he's obviously out of that role now, out of the government role he was in, the contractor role. But he did talk a fair amount about how the exfiltration of data occurred, and it's kind of a fascinating story, and it involves a Rubik's cube. And he doesn't go into all the details intentionally, but it is kind of a fascinating thing. A little bit like some of you might remember, some of you might have read Cuckoo's Egg by Cliff Stoll, where he found the East German hacker way back in the 1990s. A little bit similar. It kind of tells the story, it kind of tells the cat and mouse game of trying to deciding that it was necessary, and then trying to get data out of these very, very classified systems, classified beyond top secret, in order to share information with the world. So that's my lightning talk. The short story is, please read Permanent Record by Edward Snowden. I think you will. I think you will enjoy it. I think you'll find it fascinating, and I think you'll learn a lot. And not making judgment, not saying right, wrong, anything like that. I'm saying that if you want to know something, and we're hackers, we like to know things, that this is a great place to learn. So that's my lightning talk. Thanks very much. Swapnil, you are back. Thank you. I think you were actually here an hour earlier before, and that might be the issue we had. Swapnil, you're here. You're up next. Please go ahead and enable your audio, video, share your screen as you like, and you have the next lightning talk. Not sure what's going on here. Texting him. Well, while Swapnil is getting ready, we're also inviting one other person to the lightning talk to see if we have time. Some people have noticed that what we're doing is we had pre-recorded talks from most of the speakers. You're figuring out why we did that right now. We did this intentionally. We said, how much time do we want to spend debugging audio video problems, and turn your microphone on, and here's how to get your client working and stuff like that.
Technology is hard. It is.
Yeah, so we're waiting for Swapnil to join as soon as he can, and I just invited one other person to the chat. So depending on how fast email gets back and forth across the continent, we might have no one joining us. We have about another 10
Have you
or 12
ever heard
minutes.
the story of the 500-mile email?
No.
Oh, it's an old internet trope. So the sysadmin got a report of an email that couldn't be sent more than 500 miles. And the basics of it is they did some testing, and they determined that this was actually the case. And what it was is that they had set the TTL far too low on their mail server. And so it was based on it. So when it would connect out, depending on the speed of light, it would actually disconnect the connection because it wasn't, it was too, the latency was too high. So they mapped it out because, there were university sysadmins, because this is relatively old storage from the 80s, and that they mapped it out to 500 miles. And then there was an undocumented thing that happens when you set the TTL to 0, that it ends up just being whatever the speed of light is.
I have heard that story before, and I liked it again. Thank you very much. Let's see, Gavin just joined us. Gavin, if you can figure out how to go ahead and unmute and share, you can go next, because Swapnil has not figured it out yet, and you might be the last lightning talk. Hey, look at that. We got tools.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're a little soft, but we hear you.
I can boost on my end, or if it's easier for you to do it, that also works.
That boost worked. Thank you. Please proceed.
All right, so I'm just gonna do a quick little show of some random tools I had lying around that I personally get a lot of use out of. These are Knipex pliers wrenches. The big interesting thing with these is that they're very compact for how wide you can get the wrench to go around something. And unlike a normal adjustable wrench, the levers actually cause the jaws to close in a parallel fashion. So you can kind of use them for clamping action, as well as that really prevents slippage on things like nuts. And they make them in a large range of sizes, from small enough to fit in your pocket to large, suitable for any sort of plumbing. I have here an eye gauging absolute caliper. I find these very handy for 3D modeling, random measuring. And the neat thing about an absolute origin caliper is that the position is always retained, even when it's off. So you can move it around arbitrarily. And you can just turn it on and see exactly where it is to 100th of a millimeter. This is something for people who are into the RF side of things. Only a couple of people make / sell these. I might just put links in the chat later for these sorts of things, so that people can find them. This is a set of adapters. So basically for RF connections, you can take pretty much any RF connection to any other RF connection. You just pick two, and they all have a shared universal centerpiece, and they all just screw together to give you pretty much arbitrary connections. And you also make a cable which fills in for the middle piece. So I find this handy because I never have the right RF cables for things until I got this, and now I have them all. I got this ES121 electric screwdriver. I believe these are open source. I'll have to double check. But the firmware at least is open source, and the various custom firmwares you can load onto them. Just a pretty nice little electric screwdriver. They got a nice gearing mechanism in the front that gives you a decent amount of torque. Good for normal screws for computers and stuff. Just save some time. I think those are all I actually care to show for the moment. So thank you.
Nice. Hey, that was fun, and appreciate you putting it together in the time available. Are you in the Matrix chat? Because I think it would be nice if you could type in just a one-word summary of each of those tools you just presented. I think that'd be fun for all of us tool lovers.
Yeah, I will be happy to do that.
All right. So we are just about at the end of our time. Swapnil is still not showing us anything. Do you hear us, Swapnil?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Are you ready to present?
Oh, I'm not presenting.
Oh, you're not presenting. I thought you were here to present.
Oh, no.
All right. So thank you. So stand by. We are close enough to the end of our lightning talks probably to call it a day. So for those of you that want to see someone who's funny and entertaining in this situation, tune in to Hackers Got Talent on Saturday. Jason Scott will be running it. I may be a co-host or judge, and that's going to be a lot of fun. Lightning talks are intended to bring people to the screen who, for whatever reason, are not on the main program. Might have been late breaking news, might be something fun that is riffing or reflecting on one of the current topics in Hope. Or it might be a talk that was, for whatever reason, not accepted, and you want to give a 5-minute version. So they're teas, they're fun, they're interesting, and you're welcome to submit to the next round of lightning talks. You have closing words for us? I'm
a huge fan of Jason Scott. He recovered so well during that snaffle that we had during Hackers Got Talent. I think that was great.
Yeah. Jason was great
to be able to recover.
So that's why I'm saying he does it better than I do by far. But we did have some very good lightning talks. So I'd like to say thank you to everyone that gave a lightning talk now. And again, you're welcome. Everyone who's listening, watching, if you're a ticket holder, you can get in touch, and we'll post the link as the day approaches. All right. Any last words before we call it a day?
Hack all the things, drink all the booze.
Exactly. Our next talk starts at the top of the hour. It is Reform or Expire. The battle to reauthorize FISA programs is one of several very, very exciting talks from the EFF or EFF affiliates that we're having here at Hope. So we'll call it a day now, and we will see you at the top of the hour. Thanks all. Thanks to our lightning speakers, and thanks to all the participants and all the input in the chat room.